This episode of podcast is about Zoho Flow. Zoho Flow is integration platform as a service offering from us. The resource person for this show will be Hari, Pavan, and Smirithil. Hari is the product manager from Zoho Flow team, and he has contributed to many seamless integration with Zoho apps and external applications. What he believes is Zoho Flow not only breaks down silos of data and applications, but he also thinks that it also helps in immense team collaboration. Pavan is our engineering manager, head, and he has been with Zoho 17 plus years. And with this expertise, he has made Zoho Flow to be one of the most trusted integration platform as a service solution in the market. Smirithil leads the app integration team at Zoho, and he makes sure that he connects and bridges properly the gap between technologies and the business requirements. So I'm quite excited to start the second episode of the Developer Podcast. And it's a privilege to have you all because when I started thinking about having this Zoho Flow podcast, I reached out to Zoho Flow support basically. So they directed me to Hari. So I came to know Hari first. Then I discussed this idea with Hari, and he said it's fine. We'll proceed with it. Then it was he then who went ahead and introduced me to Pavan and Smirithil. Because it'll be an overall package. We'll have the PM talk about Flow in the developer podcast. We'll have our engineering manager and app development manager as well. So I'm excited today to start this show, and as I started, my journey towards office today, I had a realization. I was, commuting and thinking about this developer podcast actually. So how will I start my introduction, and how will I take the flow? I was thinking about all that. Then a quick question popped in my mind, which is asking question, is that a big thing, or searching answers and finding answers and giving answers, is that a great thing? So I know you all would have your own perspective for that particular question, but the moment I started analyzing that particular question, what I thought is like, all the answers are already there in this universe, in this creation. So whatever it is, we discovered how gravitation works, and still that is not the perfect answer. Like in 1600s, Newton gave an explanation for what gravity is. That is not the explanation. It is one of the explanations. Then in 1900s, we had Albert Einstein. He gave a better explanation with his theory of relativity about gravitation. So the facts are already there in the universe. The facts and answers are there in the universe. But somehow the universe has created us to go ahead and ask the question. According to the anthropic principle as well, that is true. Because if there are answers, there should be a person who is going to question and find these answers. And that's where we come into picture as intelligent beings. So for a moment, after the realization, I felt quite emotional and thought that this should be the introduction of, the podcast.
Okay, I mean that's a good perspective actually. Questions. I mean, the questions actually help us to get into that curiosity. Gives that curiosity, helps us to navigate or search for the answers basically. And I mean, it helps us to how do I say find out basically, navigate, or it is something interesting for us to actually do this, right? I mean, naturally we are all curious, and then we want to know how things work.
With more and more questions, you will refine yourself and you will find better solutions actually. So that is one of the things that we as humans are actually doing day by day. So it's actually bettering our lives.
True that nobody knows the absolute truth actually. We just know certain things that runs our daily lives, and then we are just striving again to know a better answer. So time to time we are guessing it. Anything you have to add, Smrithil, to this part?
the thing is like every answers may not be the perfect answer for the questions, right? So whenever a new question comes only, we get the opportunity to revive or revisit the whatever already answered. A question which is already answered may not be looked back if there isn't any further questions. If that happens only, we'll get an opportunity to revisit.
No, I'll go with what Smirithil is saying. A lot of great things have been done not by asking very complex questions. A lot of things have been great only because people actually started with a simple question. Very basic question, how it works or why it works this way. If you go to go through any scientific invention or scientific discovery, basically, a small question, a basic question would have been the source of that quest.
True. And with that, I expect all of you to enlighten us with this particular podcast. I have many questions prepared today. I'll be asking them in multiple rounds. So please do feel free to enlighten us today.
We will try our best.
So the very first round which I have with me is the introductory round. This is to introduce Flow to our audiences. So the first question is to our PM Hari. For our viewers and listeners completely unfamiliar, could you explain what ZohoFlow is?
Okay. Flow is a platform for bringing all your applications together. Connecting to all your applications. You would be having some sales related applications, something on support, something for marketing and all of that. In any business context, these applications exist in silos, basically. They are all separate.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you actually go deeper and notice that there are places where these applications have to work together. That is where Flow comes into the picture. So Flow helps you to connect to all these applications, create workflows across them, and then automate data exchanges across all these applications.
Actually, personally, I came to know about Flow around 2019 because I joined in 2018, and that's when I'm learning all these applications. So for me, it was, I felt really happy because you could easily, connect things together and have the data flow between the applications. That connected to something which I used to do in engineering. Like, we used to go ahead and create some sort of communication between different electronic components.
Right.
So I'm from the electronics background. So that really connected me. There, it'll be like, flow of, let's say, electrons or electrical energy. Here, it's flow of data.
Correct. No, even in electronics, you have got the buses and all of that, right? So the bus between all the, when you have a motherboard, you have got the bus actually.
There in your lab, you will be connecting
is actually very
within a board. So there. So even if you look at our builder, so it's something like that. So where you will be connecting with wires. So we call it as wires. So each steps will be connected with wires, and each task can be based on your use case. So it's completely up to you. Like you can customize completely up, like however you want, and you can play it.
So if something fails, you would be like, please go and check if some wiring has failed.
right.
All right. My next question again will be to Hari. Like this is something related to the timeline of the technology itself. Like how did the need for integration platforms evolve over time? And like I want to know how the initial days were there, and how is this technology addressing businesses right now?
See, okay, integration platforms or the need for integrations itself is not something that has been there for 10 years. It's been there for a very long time. There used to be something called as enterprise service buses. Okay, long back. And when legacy systems were there, and they were all, again, the problem of silos has been always there. And just that the difference would have been that people used to code by hand to connect all these things. There would be one single middleware, we call it the middleware basically. It's a middleware wherein people can actually push data and then they can publish, subscribe. All of that has been there already. So how it transformed into ZohoFlow or the latest technologies is when the idea of cloud came.
Okay.
And we saw a proliferation of a lot of cloud applications, and then people started buying different applications from different vendors. Or even within the same vendor, you will have multiple applications, and the need for integration only grew actually. So that is where it actually transformed. So people found out ways to actually connect to these applications. Then the idea of API came. API has been there, but then the idea of web APIs basically. So you have the services, cloud services, and then the idea of web APIs came, and then people gradually started building on top of those APIs. That's how the integration platforms came into the picture.
Okay. And I think like right now, it's kind of like you don't have to write code as people used to do it before. You could write code, but for your specific use cases. But I think with cloud technology being there, most of the application being hosted as web services, I think some middleware like Flow can address most of the situations. And since it is addressing most of the situations, things can be more on no code and low code side rather than being like pro code. You're not compelling yourself. You have to, just because you know coding, you don't have to go there and write code.
Obviously, see, as technology matures, right, the layer of abstractions actually it improves. So in the past, people used to be working on machine language, then assembly came, and then high-level languages came. A lot of services, applications were written on high-level languages. Then the idea of web applications came. And then, so it's actually abstraction. At each layer, you're actually reducing, you're packaging a lot of boilerplate into an abstraction.
Correct.
And then that simplifies the next level, basically. That is where we are now. So you have got all these point products which have the core functionalities. A lot of things have been already baked into them.
Okay.
So what Flow does is actually leverage whatever there is already and then provides one level of abstraction above that. So you can create workflows, you can create custom workflows amongst it.
And from that, I have something to say. I feel like abstraction is made for peace. Because as you, not just in any technology in our lives as well, if you abstract a lot of things, you don't have to focus on those things for productivity.
Yes.
So in one of the speeches of Sridhar, he was talking about power looms. So and many there were people in audience who asked like is there threat to developers being replaced? So every tool he addressed saying that every tool that is there it is for developers productivity. You can focus on something higher, and
Exactly.
the abstraction is there to make you just more and more productive. My next question will be to Hari. What inspired building ZohoFlow? Like we would like to know how it started.
Okay, see, when we started Flow, at that point we had around 30 plus applications in Zoho. And then we didn't have an integration platform. So the obvious need for integration was already there. People are actually writing code in Deluge and all of that. That we saw that. And at that point only we were actually seeing small integration platforms coming into picture. So it was very clear that we need to have some integration platform within Zoho because we are going to have so many applications. It's going to increase obviously. So that was the thought process. And then we went ahead and did it. And of course, at that point, we were also thinking in terms of workflow capability, being able to not just move data between applications, but actually orchestrate a full-fledged workflow with all the decisions and all of that, logic and all of that. So that was the idea.
Since you mentioned orchestration, we do have circuits inside some of our applications. Like I have seen circuits within Zoho CRM. It is there in Catalyst. It is there in Control. Like how do you quickly differentiate, let's say, by just looking at it, or when you're explaining someone circuits and flow? Because this is also having an idea of going ahead and orchestrating an automation, and flow also does the same thing. So a quick differentiation.
Okay, so one way we can actually, when we see these technologies, underneath, probably they are doing the same things. But then you have to think in terms of the kind of positioning or what kind of target users we are actually addressing. In the case of Flow, we are addressing business people who are interested in streamlining their workflows, business processes. And in the case of Circuit, it is more of a developerish tool, more aligned towards Catalyst, more towards developers who want to enable businesses do a lot of back-end work. So there are two. See, of course, Flow is very obviously Flow is for integration. Circuit is more of a generic platform. It is you can write somewhat a high-level pro code kind of thing, and then you can do a lot of work in that. Okay. So it's about what is the kind of people you are addressing. It's more towards integration, more towards automating business processes rather than being more technical. That's how I would put it.
So I think the bottom line of this is like Flow is like more towards orchestrating the business process entirely, and we would place circuits like more towards handling the data itself, because
technology, more on the technology, underlying technology component is what Circuit would be.
Okay. The next question would be, Hari, would you call ZohoFlow as iSaaS or iPaaS?
Obviously, it is an iPaaS because it's a platform. So this term is not new. It's there. It's an established term basically. So I would call it an iPaaS only.
Since its launch, how has ZohoFlow evolved, and what are the big milestones we have achieved so far?
Okay, we launched Flow in 2018 with 100 applications, and after that we have recently done 1,000 applications now. So that itself is a huge milestone.
Yeah, I did see that actually. It's like I often during my trainings as well. When I'm taking my trainings, my pattern is often I show them how you have to approach solving something in Zoho ecosystem. So I start telling about the approach with no code first. Try solving your problem with something which is already there. Now, if that is not helping, then you go towards a low code approach where I introduce them to Zoho Flow. And whenever I've done that, people have been really happy to see so many applications to be there as an offering. So they say, okay, I know this solves many of my requirements actually. I myself can do it. I don't have to, let's say, hire a professional to write a code or create a middleware from scratch. So that's my experience from all my trainings actually.
One thing is flexibility on the process. Even if if you have a service A and B with two entities, and if they follow two processes for their internal purposes, we give as a platform as that flexibility to tweak the process itself, right? So when in case of a tight integration misses out on that part, both entities might be following two way of approach on their two departments or their process, whatever it is. So, but in case of like whatever they want to build, it's there. We give the options for them, handles to them to how to cook it up. I mean, how to build it up more than.
I see.
At the end of the day, how many options that you will be providing to the customers by default. So every customer will have their own use cases.
Correct.
So solving that, we need this kind of platform to be provided to the users directly so that they can build their own custom workflows. So once that custom workflows are built and enabled, so that will solve obviously the use cases of users who is actually feeling like that which I'm missing as a part of that product. So this will be actually mainly adding benefits to the enterprise customers who is actually bundling many products from Zoho, like Zoho One Bundle will be providing all the types of products from sales to marketing to invoices, books, everything. So there will be some gaps in between all these products. So all these gaps has to be filled. So product like ZohoFlow is the one which can fill all these gaps.
Actually, that's completely true, because I have taken trainings for our customers where they have purchased one product, let's say projects or CRM, and then with the customers who have purchased our entire suite, they feel like ZohoFlow is like a complete playground. They can do anything with the data. Like creating any sort of connection. So that is something I've seen very powerful with our Zoho One customers actually, because they need that many application for their enterprise. First point, and second thing, when you introduce them to Zoho Flow, they feel like they have some superpower with them, so they start analyzing, okay, we can do this, we can do that. They jump into like research, further research. My next question will be to Hari again. How does Zoho Flow stand apart from its competition?
Okay, see, there are two perspectives I would actually add here. One is that in terms of the features that we are having, and in terms of the ecosystem that we are in. Okay, so anyway, the first obvious question would be on features, right? So features, in terms of features, we have got something different is the on-prem connectivity. Initially we were focused on cloud applications, and later on we actually brought in the on-premise connectivity. That is one thing. And the other thing is the builder itself. When we envisioned Flow, we wanted it to be a workflow builder, as I told earlier. And the builder is very capable of creating any kind of workflow that you want. You can have the different logical elements, and you can have the data transformation elements as well. So a lot of things can be part of the workflow. It's not just moving data between two different applications. That's not the only thing. So, and the second part on the ecosystem itself is like Zoho is part of the Zoho ecosystem. Zoho Flow is part of the Zoho ecosystem. So it satisfies, or it solves the problems with the kind of, for the people who are in this ecosystem. And they don't have to search elsewhere for integration. That is one main thing. And also we are actually focusing on different ecosystems wherein we can make a change.
I actually was thinking that to be one of the biggest reasons. And as we just discussed, what advantage Flow has in the Zoho ecosystem, it's when actually we're not trying to sell something right here, but the fact being spoken, when people buy Zoho One ecosystem, they find something to be already there which they have to purchase.
Exactly.
That what itself is making it stand apart from any other product out there, any other similar platform out there.
And also I want to add one more thing. Probably users are aware that Flow's components are there in other products as well. In CRM, we have got CRM actions.
Yes, definitely. That was recently added actually.
So that is also one thing. The platform actually powers the ecosystem now, slowly. So that is also one of the key aspects of this.
I did see that feature. I think it's global to all the customers right now. People have been asking, what is the difference between ZohoFlow as an application, and why are you again repeating those set of actions right here? I had to explain them like what do you get there and what do you get right here. So that's there. It is in the position that it can power many things internally as well.
Exactly.
Even if you're buying a standalone application, these features are there. So on a small payment basis, you can use the power of ZohoFlow in there.
Correct.
So it's to Hari. How do you think ZohoFlow caters the need across the spectrum in the market? Like we have SMB, small businesses, we have mid-market, and we have enterprises. If we look at how Zoho designs this application, we already had CRM. Then we developed a Begin, which addresses kind of like small businesses. So Flow is there to address, I believe it is addressing everything. So I want to hear your perspective, Hari.
Okay, see, the needs of these different segments would be different apart from integration. The integration aspect would be similar. But then what kind of applications they want to integrate? When you say SMBs, they are probably going with purely cloud applications. Probably mid-market, they will have some sort of on-prem applications as well. Enterprise, they are in a different league, and they will have their own custom applications. They will have their own IT teams developing local applications for them. So we should be in a position to cater to those needs as well. So Flow, obviously, we have got the cloud applications. We have got 1,000 around 1,000 cloud applications. We also have on-prem applications. We support databases, SQL databases, different SQL databases. So they cater to mid-market who are there, who have some databases in those databases. Enterprises, we also have, I mean, the databases what we have, they obviously satisfy the enterprises. We have got the, to how do I say, to make it more powerful, we have got the commands and scripts. People can write their own scripts. So that connectivity we are solving here. That is one main aspect. The other aspect is in terms of the scale of operation. SMBs probably they will have a small scale of operation. So we have got enterprises who are using Flow and they are consuming millions of tasks per month. So that is all there. So different needs, different ways of solving.
So the next question is the core round. I had this round because let the viewers also learn about what tools we have within ZohoFlow and let them implement it in their businesses. So the first question will be to Pavan. How are the code tiers, which is no code, low code, and pro code, properly balanced inside ZohoFlow, and how do they address the varying expertise of the developers?
So for the beginner level, we can use the no code which is available within the ZohoFlow, like one-step solution or two-step solutions, like where one or two tasks will be involved. So all these kind of things will be handled by this no code platform, which is readily available within the ZohoFlow builder. So where they can simply drag and drop the trigger, they can configure it. And we are also providing multiple variants of triggers. So all these things can be readily used by the developers or any users. So all these things can be categorized as a no code. When it comes to low code, so maybe we can make use of these decisions and error handling and even the deluge script, which is available as a part of ZohoFlow. So all these things can be categorized under the low code. So this is like a small scripting can be used in the deluge scripts, so they can achieve whatever they want as per their needs. And along with that, error handling and some places customers may need something like if a system already has some contact, so if they're trying to create a contact, so it obviously throws some errors. So that can be handled by using the error handling branch. So and again, based on the branch, error message, all these things, so they can instead of creating that contact, they can update that contact. Okay, so these things can be categorized under the low code. And coming to pro code, ZohoFlow is not right fit to that category. Maybe our partners, all these guys who is taking care of these things, so they can handle these things. So Flow is mainly meant for no code and low code.
No code and low code.
Yeah.
Well, the first language which I learned was C, and I remember my first operating system was Windows 98. So I'd like to know from each one of you which is your first programming language and operating system.
Yeah, I think I started with BASIC in my school days. So I had gone for a 15-day crash course or something. My father put me in it. And I actually instantly started loving coding. When after that I learned Visual Basic, did some small applications, and then I went in college. I learned C, MATLAB. Of course, I was in electronics, so I learned MATLAB. So and then .NET, Java. So I mean, I've been working on multiple languages over the years. So.
You, Pavan?
And I was introduced to programming language only in college, engineering college. So C was my first programming language, and after that I was familiar with C++ in the coming semesters. And from there onwards, I got interested to the programming languages. And though I am in a EEE branch, so I was interested in these programming languages. So I thought of going to this domain after my completion of my engineering. So I joined .NET and I started learning .NET. So like VB.NET, ASP, all these things. So which is actually taking care of different sides like backend, front end, database, ADO.NET, all these things. But Java I learned only after coming here. So and here I am today.
What about you, Smirithil?
In my case, I started learning computer programming from the school days onwards, and similar to Hari, it started from basics. Then I was exposed to language called Fortran. I'm not
Fortran?
sure. Yes.
Okay.
Interesting.
I think you're one of these rare people I've come across who has done Fortran.
Yes. Then later C, that's also in school, and I almost relearned all the whatever I did in school in the college. I mean, since I went more into electronics department, there is not much coding on that part further. Then after college engineering, then we came to here, and then we were exposed to Java, then learned it. And
that's quite interesting actually, because you very rarely hear about Fortran. Like I have just heard about one article where I saw ISRO is using Fortran as one of the languages. They do many things. There are many sciences and technologies involved. Computer scientists, they use Fortran in certain applications. So nice to see these rare answers.
It's rare, definitely a rare piece.
one among the rare breeds.
And one good thing in Zoho is we don't have like standard training sessions where you need to only focus on this technology or something like that. So if you are interested and if you have time, you definitely can learn anything here. So that's the one interesting thing.
I thought I was the one who didn't receive a formal training because I came in through the college recruitment and just started taking these different trainings and all. I thought I was the one who didn't receive the formal training. Now I see everyone is like that only. But that's good. It's an open.
After coming here, I learned VB script, jQuery, JavaScript, even some other language like PowerShell. I learned all these languages just because of my work demands.
That's a lot in the plate, but yeah, we have to do that. The next question will be to Smirithil. Could you let us know about the versatility of the applications which we have? Like there are various categories of applications available. Like we have sales, marketing, support applications, offering available within ZohoFlow as a part of integration. So something on that.
As you all know, right? So it's like a multi-vendor world. It's happening. So every domain we have multiple players fighting for the market each other. So we are not certainly sure what the actual customers are using. So every other customer comes to on our way, ask for particular service from particular domain. So we are forced to integrate, or that's our duty to integrate all these services and cater to these customers. So I keep on maybe considering all these demands. As on date, I believe we have 70 plus domains catering for the categories we are catering. Okay, so 70 plus categories in the sense from the sales, from to the after sales, from the notifications, phone-based notifications to the emails, from the campaign softwares to maybe after sales supports, then from e-commerce services to e-commerce delivery softwares.
Maybe I can change my question. What do we do not have?
Okay, that's something I'll add to what Smirithil is saying here. Okay, see, he mentioned about 70 plus categories. At some point, or not some point, I would say frequently, we encounter questions like, should we put this application into this category or the other category? Okay. Because we are actually running out of categories, because the applications are such that we are not able to find some particular category within even 70 categories that we have.
I have a solution. Like it's like is fungi into animal kingdom or plant kingdom? Finally, they put it into its own. It has a separate.
I have a solution for that. So recently, you've simply take an example of Airtable. So they started with one category. They entered into multiple categories. So only solution will be like put them into multiple categories.
That itself we already have. But think of the case, we have a couple of apps in real estate. We cannot put a separate category for one app or two app, right? So And then we already have 70 applications. We have to find some way to fit into all those things. So that is all. So the variety of applications or the variety of use cases each of them do, right? So it becomes challenging to actually categorize them, find categories for them within these 70 categories. And then we also have printers. Printers we have, of course, they can be categorized under IoT and all of that. So
I didn't see that actually. It's something new for me.
There are a few apps in IoT.
So there are from some of these.
Which means like when we are going and let's say I took this printout today by swiping my ID card, I think I can configure that with ZohoFlow.
You can do some of that. I mean, some of the how do I say postcard campaign applications. So we all know about email campaigns, right? There are services which do postcard campaigns. So we have integrated with them. So you can actually give your list of users. You can configure a template, postcard template, and then have a thank you note and then send it to your users. It will actually arrive as postcards.
Physical postcard.
For physical postcard. So I mean, these are the variety of applications we are seeing. So categories we are actually finding it difficult in some cases.
From the electronics background, how do you like relate that to ZohoFlow?
So I mean,
I find it very connecting actually because I'm from EEE background. I think Pavan is. What about you, Smirithil?
Myself from electronics.
Electronics. Oh, what a wonderful combination is this. This is, what a weird coincidence this is. So how do you relate that to Flow?
See, ultimately computers are from the electronics, right? The base for computers are electronics only. So the ideas are similar, buffers. We got buffers, we have got bus, communication bus and all of that. So input output bus and all of that. So it's all similar.
1947 is it? The invention of transistors.
Transistors, yes.
The credit goes to us, based on which the entire
spectrum,
yeah.
I mean, things are changing now. I mean, with all these quantum chips and all of that. So we'll have to wait and see.
So I think this will bring all of us in one single frequency right now. So my next question will be to Pavan. Can you explain trigger action mechanism in ZohoFlow? Like how it helps in workflows, because for any automation to happen, you need a trigger. So how is it in ZohoFlow?
Okay, first before going to the types of triggers that we are supporting, so let me explain like how the trigger and action will be compared to the real-time scenarios. Simply take an example of dominoes. Okay, so if you simply start one domino, okay, topple a domino, so it will start triggering all the dominoes which is in a sequence. Okay, so it will continue until it ends at some point, okay, or some place where it disconnects. Okay, that is how you can compare in a workflow in the ZohoFlow. Okay, so a trigger is one which actually triggers a workflow that will start the workflow execution, and it will start executing step by step until it reaches a end. So unless if there is no branches, it will simply complete that. If there is any decision in between, so it will go through the decision and it will take the path which matches the criteria, and it again follows the same path, and it continues till the end of the flow. So that's how the trigger and action will work. And coming to the types of triggers that we are supporting, so we will categorize it as app webhooks and incoming webhooks, email triggers, and there are a few more triggers are there. So coming to the app webhooks, so which is an automated webhook subscription. Okay, so nowadays majority of the apps are supporting automated webhook subscriptions, so this can be done through the REST APIs. So whenever some event happens in that system, so that will trigger by sending a API call to that subscription API. Like that subscription endpoint will be from the ZohoFlow side. So when they trigger that, so that will hit our service with some data, and the data will be used as a input for executing the rest of the flow. And similarly, incoming webhook, so which will be like authorized URL. So that data will be registered in some endpoints where there is no availability of subscription APIs. So they will use that API to post the data to that. So that can be like any script, JavaScript or some other script. So they will use that to trigger that. And other one is a email trigger. So when you simply send an email, and that will be used to send an email to our service, so where we will receive the data and we will process the data based on the pre-configured email template. So we have already configured template when we are creating a workflow, like this part of the email has to be taken with this variable and this one as this variable. Say for example, subject can be extracted as a one separate variable, and from address and actual content. So this section of the part can be extracted into different variable. All these things can be extracted as a separate variables instead of directly getting the JSON from the other systems. So this data will be used as an input for again the execution of the workflows.
Okay.
So that's how all these things works.
Now I'm getting a question as an extension. So these triggers that you mentioned, I find that some of the triggers are also there in other Zoho applications. So did we engineer this from scratch, or is there something that is already there and you're using it
We engineered everything from the scratch.
from the scratch?
So even there are few more triggers like polling triggers. So directly they won't be able to send the data to us, but they will be having some endpoints. So where we can get the data timely. Okay, like for example, for every 5 minutes we can poll the system and get the data. So whenever there is updated records or newly added records, so something like that we can fetch it and we can process it. So each record can be processed as a separate workflow. Say for example, if 5 new contacts has been added to a system, so when we fetch it, so the trigger will be like when a new contact is created. So the entire workflow will be executed for individual contact. Okay, so if you have some 5 contacts, for 5 executions will happen within our service. So similarly, RSS, feed, and poll triggers and all these things are there.
I had actually a question from one of our customers regarding polling. As I understand, we have the polling frequency set to 5 minutes. So the customer was asking, like, can that be customized from the user end?
Actually, we will be setting that based on plans as of now, but increasing that polling frequency will unnecessarily consume some credits, API credits from the user end also, and it will be unnecessary load for the third-party services also. So we shouldn't be like bombarding requests to the services, right?
So that we can have it like an optimal number which we have chosen to make everything
Correct.
run smooth.
Anyway, even if it is 5 minutes or 15 minutes, there won't be much difference. No data will be missed in between. All the data will be collected and be processed. But if they want to process immediately, 5 minutes is the time currently as of now we are supporting, and we are planning to reduce that in the future.
Okay. My next question will be to Pavan. Are there any new types of triggers which we are planning to bring in ZohoFlow?
Yes, definitely there are few things in our roadmap, and one of the interesting thing will be like callable triggers. So which can be a trigger which can initiate subflows. So these are the callable triggers, are the triggers which can trigger the subflows, so which doesn't need to be part of the actual flow by default. These subflows can be like a common part of the execution which can be used by multiple flows. Say for example, if there are multiple pipelines where it is coming from one from a CRM and one from books or something like that, and there is some common part which doesn't need to be duplicated in both the workflows. So that can be extracted as a separate flow, and this flow will have its own trigger. That trigger will be called as a callable triggers. So this can be configured as an action within the actual flows that will actually trigger this one, and that starts executing as a regular flow.
Okay, that way will not be duplicating the same information in multiple applications.
Correct. And maintenance will be easier for the one who is creating that, and they don't need to complicate the workflow also.
Until now, that was a concern, and people had to, change their design. They had to engineer the flow properly to avoid these kind of problems. But since this is coming, I think it'll rectify
It'll solve a lot of problems.
lot of problems. My next question will be to Hari and Pavan. So when we are connecting multiple applications, so there's data flow from one app to another app, then another app. So we connect a lot of applications together. So how do we make sure that the data is consistent?
See, okay, different systems have their own schema. The same module in one system, for example, context, let's say context, it will have a certain shape, certain set of fields, certain schema, which is not this, which wouldn't be the same in other application. So the data that you can store in one system, it will be different in the other system. Of course, the common fields will be similar, but even then, take the example of name. You in one system you'll have probably first name, last name. In another system you'll have a single name field also.
Correct.
So that is where the actual problem is. Okay, so that is where a lot of effort goes into trying to, how do I say, transform one data to another. That is one aspect in which flow has to be used. So for keeping data consistent across services, we have mechanisms wherein you can actually see whether that is there already, and then mix and match things, and then take the actions that will ensure that these are consistent. If you have to update a specific field so that it has to be consistent, you can do that. Or you have to create a new record as part of your workflow. You can actually check whether that record is already there or not. So you can do a list of checks, basically validations, and then to ensure the consistency.
I think along with this, the person who's designing the flow should also be responsible.
Obviously.
Yes,
Like,
it's a private responsibility.
Coming to context of Avengers, I think Pavan likes them. So you can't ask Hulk to go ahead and open a can. So that anyone can do. So every person who's working with any tool, after all, at the end of the day, it's a tool. So you have to use the tool properly. So yes, there are certain things that Zoho Flow is taking care, and person designing it also should be very responsible.
And we have seen with users, they are able to figure it out how to actually use these. I mean, many cases whichever we have come across, right? We can see a clean implementation. Basically, they would actually check whether the record is there. They will compare. They would have already configured the necessary steps to compare the data, and then take steps to actually make them consistent. So we have seen people figuring it out and then doing it.
Yeah, we are providing all the options. As you mentioned, ZohoFlow as a no-code platform, and a low-code platform, we are taking the majority of the load at our end. So especially our apps team. Okay, so whenever something is happening, to make the experience same across the platform and across multiple apps, so what we are trying to do is we are trying to get the names from the service as usual, and we are doing all the validations in backend before actually updating that third-party service. And even sometimes some services will not be sharing you the entire data when trigger happens, and we have to fetch that extra information, and we have to provide it to the users so that the experience will be same across multiple services.
So that is one thing that, as he mentioned, we are doing, wherein a lot of boilerplate is handled within the platform and the applications that we have implemented, so that only the ones that are related to the business decisions, wherein we see that the user has to take a call and not we as the platform developers to take a call, right? That is where we leave it. That is the boundary where we keep it, so that they have they can take a decision based on their need, their workflow needs, and then accordingly they can apply their workflow rules.
So in my trainings, I call it as like it's a different terminology, a different context as well. But something related to what you said, I call it as like no code, low code saturation, because if you take any application, why is not everything no code?
Correct.
Or everything low code? So if no code is helping you, you're jumping to low code. If low code is not helping, you're jumping to pro code. So there is some saturation that otherwise the problem is you would end up just engineering the product in the verge of creating everything.
Correct. If you don't maintain that, you will lose the flexibility for the customers.
No, it's a balance between flexibility as well as the power that we are bringing.
True.
Pro code is powerful, but at the same time, our idea is to actually provide that boilerplate or that remove that boilerplate basically and keep it easier for. So there is a fine balance. Finding that fine balance is what we have to be doing.
My next question will be to again Hari and Pavan. How is Flow helping you with making decisions? I have seen that there are some logical elements which are available so that you can create context-specific workflows. So we'd like to explore that right now.
Yeah, as I explained earlier, like we have some decisions, so where you can configure your criterias. So, and it's not limited there. So you can even handle the errors which is happening in any task. So you can again configure some decisions for the errors which is occurring within the workflows, and you can again take decisions on top of that. And not only that, so in our history also, so we are providing some extra additional options like rerun, resume, this kind of options. So all these things will give us some extra controls to the users. So where this will be powerful for the users to make use of.
My next question will be to you, Hari. So what is the most transformative customer use case you have come across?
Okay, we have got a lot of different customer profiles actually. I mean, someone is in waste management, wastewater management. They are actually extracting energy from water. We have got customers who are into cruises, right? You know, cruises, right? I mean, the travel and tourism cruises. And we actually have a non-profit. We heard from them that they could actually efficiently manage their operations. So previously, before ZohoFlow, they took the help of volunteers to actually manage their applications. For that, they had to give access to all those applications. And then they reported that after implementing ZohoFlow, they could actually streamline all those accesses. And only 2 of them are able to manage all these applications, and then also the operations, streamline all the operations with the volunteers. So it's kind of they are able to set their security boundary properly, at the same time streamlining, automating a lot of processes. And yeah, so they found it very useful in their case.
Nice. Actually, for me, ZohoFlow came. For me, ZohoFlow came later. Actually, like I would like to know from you which was your first Zoho application. Like, did you get started with ZohoFlow directly, or you were in different teams and then you came into ZohoFlow?
No, I was with Creator. I joined in the Creator team. Okay. So even before that, I was working in some other company, but joined in Creator. I was there for some time and then started Flow.
Pavan?
I was working in managing application manager earlier, and I got to know about ZohoFlow, which has been started by Hari at the time from Hyder. And after having a discussion with Hyder, I joined the ZohoFlow team along with Hari. And we both have taken care of this flow, and we both released during the time only. Smirithil also came and joined us for delivering the apps.
In fact, myself and Pavan was on the same team actually. We were on managing, Zoho's sister brand is managing, as you all know. So we were working together, and at a later point, I was more into other integration efforts of Zoho. I was taking care of integration efforts for the Zoho. So later, when we launched an integration platform, I was assigned to take up the integration portfolios for the Zoho.
So today, when I met Hari, when I went to bring him here, he said that he joined in 2009. Is it? So I just told him that was when I was in school. So really, it's a privilege to host all of you today. By the way, I first came to know about Zoho in my second year because in Anano City there was one event which Zoho was hosting a competition. It was Zoho Creator competition to design an application. They gave us a problem statement of creating an application for visitor management, managing visitors in an event. So I was surprised to see, like, you don't need to code too much to create an
Correct.
application for the first time. That's when I'm getting to know about Zoho for the very first time, actually.
I actually came across Zoho Creator in 2008, even before I joined. So my colleague, my manager in the other company he had joined here, he introduced me to Zoho Creator. That was very novel actually at that time. So I actually created an application even before joining Zoho. And then I put it in that marketplace. It used to be called marketplace in Developer Zone and all of that long back. So, and then one fine day I got a chance to actually go for the interview.
I never knew, like, when I was in second year that I'll be joining the same company. So that's a story about me. And my next question would be like to Pavan. How does ZohoFlow help manage error handling and monitoring within automated workflows?
So whenever some error happens, definitely we will be capturing everything in our history logs. Okay, so if you really want to process the error records, so maybe what you can do is you can again reconfigure the flow, and you can restart the workflow with the latest version. In workflows, we are actually supporting the multiple versions to keep track of the changes that you are doing on the workflows. So all these things will be really helpful for the customers to correct their workflows and rerun the executions from the beginning, only if they are sure that this won't create any duplicates in their systems. So all these options are provided to the customers themselves, and they can take their own decisions. So all these things together will be really powerful to the customers.
I see. So my next question will be to Hari. How was Deluge embedded into ZohoFlow? As we understand, Deluge is used in many applications and platforms as well. So it was Deluge. It is Deluge which makes Zoho ecosystem more and more approachable, especially when you're talking about server-side automations. So how was Deluge embedded into?
See, right from the start, Deluge has been there in Flow and as custom function, and it has been a very natural fit for Flow. So we have got 1,000+ applications now, and you can, in each of these applications, we have got a number of actions, predefined actions that we have provided. But then there comes a need wherein you have to transform data between these applications. Sometimes you have to take some extra decision logic, you have to write some extra decision logic, or maybe even call some other application in some other API, call some other API. Therein lies the power of Deluge. You can write a function and then you can drag and drop, assign some data to it, some parameters, and then it executes and gives you an output which you can use in further actions. So that is how Deluge is embedded into the flow.
I think Smirithil can help us out right here, like with regards to app integrations, like how Deluge is helpful.
I'd say in automotive terms, I can explain something like what's turbo to cars. So once the turbos kicks in, you get that extra power for the car, right? So something similar. You have a set of functionalities, features, and something already there, and maybe a certain set of customers, they want some extra stuffs to be done on the service, or when it comes to an enterprise service, just think like if it's an enterprise company, they have their own solutions, which is not already part of our portfolio. What happens if they want to connect or send the data to that particular service? Then the real requirement for the service, something like Deluge, which comes in, where you can invoke those services, pass the data, or take the data from that, and then pass on to other services, which is already portfolio. So it's like empowering the whatever we are having, the pre-built actions which is already there. So it's like extra.
According to me, like I've been taking so many trainings, sorry. So initially I started with basic trainings. Then nobody asked me to take any developer tool as a training provide that as a training service. So I found Deluge to be quite interesting because I had already been introduced to Deluge in my second year of my engineering. So when I came here, I took it as kind of a responsibility that, okay, let's take this as a training, right? So we are giving ZohoFlow training, CRM training, and many other products have been given as training, and we have developer training as well. So in that, we focus on, we start directly with Deluge. Then we talk about any pro code capabilities if they are there. So what I felt is like Deluge is something which is not scary, because if I like sell a particular product to a customer, then the time when the deal is closed, I'm asking them to learn Java. So that would be a difficult situation for them. But when I tell them, okay, this is the syllabus of Deluge, all in all, they're quite happy about it. And I have seen people learning Deluge in like 2 to 3 weeks of time, and adopting that and applying that into their business automations.
No, this has been true since Creator. I mean, Deluge forked out of Creator, if you already know, right? So even then, when it was in Creator, right, we used to have customers of Creator or partners who have not been programming till then, who were into other fields. So someone was in biotechnology. They quickly learned Deluge, and they could actually implement it for their customers and their own requirements. So they themselves have told that Deluge is really easy to learn.
True.
It's not scary to actually get started with Deluge. I mean, someone seeing from a different field, of course, people who are in electronics or who have a background in electronics or computer science, they'll be able to get the idea of Deluge pretty easily. But then people from other fields, right, biotechnology and all of that, it's something enlightening, basically. That shows the power of that scripting language.
True. It has been seen across application, across the ecosystem. It has made every single application more and more approachable. My next question will be to Hari. Can we use any pro code language within ZohoFlow?
As of now, we don't have that, but we have plans to bring it. Basically, different, the popular ones, at least Java and Node.js, we have plans to bring it, just like how other platforms inside Zoho have that. So we don't have plans. They will probably sit along with Deluge. And you can, if you're already into Java or Node.js, if you already know that, you can probably get it easily.
Let's say you are able to use the Flow agent, to execute a script, let's say Python script. Won't that count as a pro
That
code?
is also there, but then as part of the platform is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Platform is inside the builder, just like that sits alongside Deluge.
Okay.
Of course, this is definitely pro code, wherein you can write any language code in your system, connect it with the agent, and then you will be able to do it. But then I am saying within the
application itself,
within the platform itself, I'm saying.
See, as Hari mentioned, so today with the commands and scripts, okay, so which will be actually executing with the agent, so you can achieve like anything. Like we don't need to support 1 or 2 languages. So you can run anything and you can execute anything, even shell scripts, PowerShell, whatever it is. So even whatever the language that you think of, so if you are able to run it with a command and a script, so you can run it and you can capture the output and you can pass it on to Flow back, and you can process it here.
And from the commands and scripts, you can have a Python, you can have a Node.js, you can have a Java, you can have .NET, you name it. You have got everything there.
Honestly speaking, till date, nobody actually has asked me why is there no specification of any other programming language in Flow. They have asked for other products.
Right.
I said, yeah, there is the provision for that, but Flow, so far the need hasn't come. Like from my training experience, I'm telling you. So anything from your side?
No, we have got here and there we have got some requests for pro code, but mostly people are happy with Deluge as well. But then, of course, as we address different markets, we will have to have these capabilities also. And Other platforms have in Zoho, so why not? We'll have it.
I see. Can you expand on Flow Agent a little bit more? Like to hear about it.
Okay, so when it comes to on-premises, they have a strong security, strong firewall rules and all of that, which prevents an external system to connect to their internal systems. That is where the idea of agent comes.
Okay.
So it sits inside the system, inside the network, and it establishes the connectivity with the Zoho Flow, and it acts as some kind of a gateway or some middle agent. Basically, that's why the name of agent came, and it proxies the data connectivity between Flow and their internal systems. And when it comes to Flow, I mean, after it is connected to Flow, you can connect to other 1,000 plus applications. So suppose you have got some database inside your network, and you can have one machine that connects to that, has the access to connect to your database. You can have the agent. The agent can then share the data.
So actually easy to make use of DMS, okay, so device messaging system. So where you don't need to open any specific ports in your firewall. So that's what Hari is actually telling you. So once you don't need to open any ports for particular service, so then it will be more secure. Consider within the DMZ, especially DMZ zones, DMail race zones, we call it. Okay. So when this agent is sitting there, and it will be communicating only with the Zoho Flow service through that DMS. Okay, and it won't do anything on its own unless Zoho Flow service instructs the agent to do that. Okay, so whenever a flow is configured with that agent task, so there will be like hundreds of tasks which is already configured within a workflow. And say for example, one of the tasks is agent task, where your requirement is to connect to some database which is sitting within your network. So then you can instruct the agent to get the details from the database and send the data back to this. And all these communications also will be like encrypted with our in-house encryption mechanism. So all the data is secured, and there won't be any communication to any other services. So only the communication will be between the agent and service. And once the data is received from the agent back, so the same data can be used to process the remaining part of the flow. So it will be well secured.
Has there any kind of experience where we had to deploy entire flow in an enterprise's server because of the security you mentioned?
I mean, as of now, we are not come across something like that. We are not. It depends. I mean, we have not addressed that kind of a market yet. So once we address, we'll probably need to have all those options available.
So let's move on to our next question. This is for Hari. In what ways can teams collaborate inside a Zoho Flow ecosystem? Because as there are various categories, as Smirithil explained us earlier today, there'll be definitely different types of teams: sales, marketing, support.
Correct.
Working within Zoho ecosystem, Zoho Flow ecosystem. So how is that managed in Zoho Flow?
See, okay, we have got Flow is not a single user application and platform. Basically, you can have any number of users within Zoho Flow. So an organization that buys Zoho Flow, they will be able to add people from different teams, different departments to automate their workflows. Some in one way, it can be, the workflows can be specific to their department. In some other ways, they can be inter-department as well. For example, you have got a sales department, you have got a marketing department. Obviously, sales department oriented workflows will be there. You'll also have marketing department oriented, but then there will be workflows between them as well. So users coming via marketing, they have to be pipelined to the sales, right? So all of that, it will involve inter-department workflows as well. So people actually need to collaborate together, and then they have to build the solutions. So that is where I think Flow is not just about automating different applications. The first and foremost requirement for flows to be done right across departments is to have people come together, basically. So that way, flow is a natural place where people have to come together. They have to discuss ways for these siloed applications to to communicate, create the workflows across them. That is how you bring in the efficiency and all of that, right?
That's how you'd also suggest any team to work with Zoho Flow.
Correct. Obviously.
They have to come together,
Exactly.
brainstorm and then.
Correct. Exactly. So the first and foremost requirement is that people are not siloed. That mindset, right? That has to be should not be there. People have to come together first across the different departments, and then only something else can happen. I mean, the next step can happen.
That's a good point, actually.
So even before creating a workflow, they have to envision like what they have to do and who and all has to collaborate. So once they got the requirement, then it will be like easily done with the Zoho Flow.
I've seen a few customers, another aspect, seen a few customers, the flow dashboard, which is something like the customer uses the flow dashboard as their company's dashboard, because they have different departments and whatever works happening, the numbers, the kind of execution, the peaks, even in the timings or the weeks, what weekday they are getting higher traffic or the kind of sales that's happening. So flow dashboard acting as like their
it's a proxy for their
company process.
If you look at our dashboard, we'll be capturing everything. Recently, we even captured at app level stats also. So if you look at that, how much traffic that you are getting to Flow, and from which apps that you are getting, and which flows are actually more executing or running within the Zoho Flow. You got all the details here within our dashboard.
It's actually a proxy for their performance, basically. It's a nice way to put it, right?
Smirithil, since you take care of many integrations, so what would be your advice to anyone who's trying to integrate applications in Zoho Flow platform?
I would say open up the mind. The thing is, customer may not be knowing what they want. So go through the services, the kind of services in a particular domain. Find out the partners, how they excels rather than the another services. Try to bring in all. So we need not to take sides. Provide as much as possible integrations. Another perspective is in the security perspective. We have to look for the security of that particular service, how their history speaks, how secure the data they are handling. Going through their API docs gives us clear picture how secure they are built in. I mean, we'll get a glimpse of the kind of process they flow inside, right? So based on that, we could so security comes as a primary thing. Okay. Then maintainability. In maintenance aspect, it's how frequent services are getting updated to the APIs. So considering all this, people have to decide on whether we need to go with the service A or service B. Then obviously customers are the primary things. Their requirements, their demand. That's I see.
My next question will be to Hari. What is the scope of IoT in Zoho Flow?
Yeah, it's a natural fit for Flow. It's an automation. IoT is in the background. It works in the background, basically. There is a lot of match for it. We do have some of the IoT platforms, applications as well. We have Adafruit app. We have got Think.
Do we have Zoho IoT as a...
once they have the APIs and all of that, we'll have that. It's a natural fit. IoT is definitely a natural fit for Flow. And to do all the integrations with the devices. So just like we have got cloud and we have got on-prem, devices would be the next step. I mentioned about printers. So printers is one good example. You can have if the printers can be connected via Wi-Fi and all of that, then and of course the printer platforms are there through cloud printing basically. So you can integrate with them. And
if you know Zoho Flow during your college days, how would you go ahead and use it? Since you mentioned Adafruit.
So I was not into electronics much. Okay, I just did some basic circuit design and all of that. I was mostly into programming. So obviously I would have, with all the limited, I mean, of course, one thing I also have to mention, I did make schooling or college during the initial 2000s. Okay. At that time, we didn't have Arduino or Raspberry Pi, the ones that we have seen in the recent years. So then it used to be really challenging. You should have the PCBs. You should actually do it yourself. You don't get the luxury of working with a microcontroller.
Now I can place an order. I can just design it in MATLAB and
you can easily actually do it now. It used to be not that easy in those days. We didn't have open source circuits like Arduino and all. So yeah, I was not into much of but then I have sometime I think 7-8 years back I was toying with Arduino. At that time I would have probably, if I had put much more effort into it, probably I would have integrated with.
I would like to toy with it even now. I have one, like, maybe someday we'll collaborate on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a Arduino club we can start.
Yeah, we can do that.
What about you, Pavan and Smirithil? How do you use Flow just in case you go back to your college days?
Availability of internet and even the computers, it's very difficult during those days. So I joined engineering college during 2004. So I don't find that that will be possible for me to have some kind of automated flows doing my work. So yeah, during
probably at that time, if you wanted to actually do the IoTs, right? The recent times we have got Bluetooth, we have got Wi-Fi, very good Wi-Fi network in everything. We have got everything these days. Back then, we didn't have Wi-Fi, proper Wi-Fi. We used to have that Ethernet, the slow modems and everything.
Yeah, true.
So for what? In those days, if we had to actually do something, we would actually I would have a interface between the electronics or the electrical, whichever systems you are connecting. We should have an interface that talks to the Ethernet. Then you would be able to do all these things, right?
Correct.
So you might not remember we used to have a dial to the internet service provider, and the dial back will come. Then only the connection will establish, and the speed will be like 1 kb, 2 kb, that much only.
Kilobits per second.
Yeah.
And the only browser that I know during that time was IE, and later on Chrome has came. And during that time only the Firefox also there before Chrome. So
even phone is a luxury at that time. Yes, I got phone after my engineering. It's a period.
I was lucky in that part because by the time I joined my college, I had access to all these.
Again, we should throw this question at you. Like, how will you use this?
I will. I used to use some other service to connect these services, like one microcontroller board and another one. I would definitely go ahead and put ZohoFlow over there to establish the communication there. So because in ZohoFlow we already have an endpoint trigger, so I'll just give this endpoint trigger to the Arduino board and it'll go ahead and send the data over to ZohoFlow. I can process that anyway and give output, store it, or give output to any other microcontroller board, anything. Many things are coming in here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I would like to know about the roadmap, Hari. What do we have in plan for ZohoFlow in next few months or this year in 2025?
Okay, so we are working on a way for forking set of actions into a different flow, wherein you can have one base flow and you can have a child flow which can be called from the base flow. Something. So you will design the child flow. Something. The use case is something like this. If you have a set of actions which are frequently to be called, you can put them in a separate flow and then you can call. That is one thing. Then we are planning to bring in looping ability. So you have got a set of actions which you want to loop. You want to create records in other systems on a loop for a list of records. You can do that.
And obviously with a loop counter.
Loop counter are based on the list basically. How many records you are getting as.
Okay. That many times will iterate.
And that loop will be like a limited loop only. Like it's a kind of a control loop, not an uncontrollable loop. So if you have a finite set of numbers or records, you can loop around and you can call that subflow, as Hari mentioned. So
that is coming. And AI, of course, we are working on some of the AI things. Then we are bringing in the file support, line items, and all, which are required for order or invoicing applications.
Well, actually, people were asking about this
Yes,
point.
correct.
I think now that it is here, you'll find it useful.
Yeah.
So the next question is one of my favorite question in this entire list. So you mentioned you're going to do something in regards to AI. So how does the future of ZohoFlow look with AI?
Obviously, see, Flow is a backend. It's mostly works in the backend. It works mostly in the backend. AI cannot work. Okay, as we all know, probably that AI has a certain knowledge base, and it can work based on that knowledge base really well. But when it comes to businesses, most of the knowledge is in their own systems, in their sales, in their desk, in their support, in their accounting. So Flow becomes that bridge between AI and their knowledge systems, and it helps you to integrate with AI so that it can bring in that intelligence and all of that. So that is how the fit is between AI and Flow.
What about
So during the beginning of the session, we have discussed a small thing about data consistency, mapping, and all these things. With AI, we can actually do a lot better when it comes to data mapping. So as of now, so everything is being mapped manually by the user who is actually configuring this. With AI, we can actually recommend the fields mapping. Just from system A, some set of fields can be given, and system B, you can give another set of fields, and you can ask the AI to map the relative fields from both the systems, and it can configure it on behalf of you.
Yeah,
So-
kind of basically easing out further for the developers, workflow developers. So you can ask the assistant to actually, you can give the descriptive requirement, and it can actually get you the set of actions along with all the workflow elements, with everything that it can possibly understand from your prompt, basically. And then you can also, like he said, you can given a set of actions. Once you have connected to those applications, it will know the schema of the particular record, if it is a contact, a lead, or deal. And now the AI has much more information on auto mapping fields, which fields can be mapped automatically, and it can also suggest transformations across these data mappings as well. So it can roll out a lot of things. You have to do that research and then see which one comes out.
how do you envision Smirithil?
Yeah, recently we have rolled out more functionalities, utilities, which includes AI capabilities, like say, for example, automatically sending reply to the mail where mail comes in, something like that, or finding the tone of the mail which we got, or like getting out the keywords in the border and pass it on to some analyzing purpose, or those kind of functionalities we are already brought it. As organically, next step is that's in we are using our in-house AI models, but going forward, what we want to add is like opening up opportunity to try out all the models, LLM models, which is around. We don't want to enforce our customer to use our own models or model X or model Y. It's up to them to decide because it's their cakes. So we want to open up more, as much as models as possible. We would love to bring in more models as part of our code.
To keep it short, the same function will be there, but the LLM that you are going to use in the background will be an optional, and it will be based on the preferences from the customer. And with this AI in place, so we are envisioning Flow to be moving more towards no code from low code. So that will be
more of no code. Like he said, it will ease out a lot of development efforts for the customers. And also one good point Smirithil mentioned about one example he mentioned is to get the tone. Think of tickets from customers. You can actually use the sentiment. You can analyze the sentiment or the kind of tone that they are using, whether they are irate, whether they are that tone and all. You can extract. You can actually use it for your decisions. If the tone is irate, if the tone is negative, positive, and all, you can take decisions and you can do the rest of the workflow processing.
Recently, one meme was very famous. Like the US has OpenAI, China has DeepSeek. What does India have? So, what would each one of you, talk about it?
Definitely, we need to have our own LLM models, and we cannot miss this
Wave.
This wave. Definitely, we should have.
That's so. Every customer from every region of the world, they have their own preference. So as an integration platform, you want to cater every customer, every region, and let them in their comfort zone. Let them use the model they want. So that's why we are looking to integrate as many possible models and bring that to the table.
And we'll also try to keep it like no code and low code as well, so that anyone can do this.
And then one more point about India having its own LLM, right? Different models have their own biases. Obviously, these models are designs of the people who are behind it, right? So they will have some biases. We don't know what they are on all these models. So as much as possible, people are taking their own efforts to reduce the bias, but even then that would somehow manifest in the models. So it is important that India has to have something that also caters to the local diversity. Each region or each state has its own language and all of that. So we need to have that, definitely.
For us, everything is complex.
Correct.
That is why Elon Musk is not able to bring self-driving cars here.
But we are.
We are like that. This round is about the quick answers round. So I'll be asking questions and you'll have to quickly answer all these questions. The first one is to all three of you. Would you describe, how do you describe ZohoFlow in a single word?
Okay, I'll go with leverage.
Reliable.
Simplify.
Simplify. All right. Which movie is ZohoFlow closely related to? I have some options right here. The Avengers, Inception, The Matrix, and Interstellar. And why?
I think I'll go with Avengers.
Why?
Bringing in tools or bringing in people together and doing it.
Tools assemble.
Yeah, right.
And I will go with Inception. So it's kind of a complex, like going dreams inside the dreams, something like that. And here also the multiple apps will be connected and the data will be passed across the apps, like going from one dream to another dream. So here the dreams like app only here. The data will be passed from one system to another system and maintaining that continuity from the start to the end.
Great.
Actually, Inception is another one. I also thought of Inception in a different way. The Inception, the idea is that you have to see the thought into someone else's mind. So it's like the trigger that we have in Flow. So you see that thought in the other system, and when something happens there, it triggers that domino effect that you was mentioning about. So it's a very automated process in Inception, right? So before they themselves don't know what they are doing.
That's a good perspective, actually. Smirithil?
I would say Avengers itself, because different tools have different capabilities, and coming together makes the most powerful, I think, right? So in enterprise also, multiple tools aiding different departments coming together, the data that helps them to maximize their productivity.
The next question is to Hari. If ZohoFlow were to have a tagline inspired by a famous movie quote, what would that be?
Okay. I will do it all the day, like where Captain America will say, like, so we keep on getting hits with too much load from the customers, and sometimes it will be very high.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I can do it all the day. So
That is a good one, actually. Smirithil, anything?
I'll pass on the questions. I'm not
I thought of something in Kung Fu Panda. Basically, there is one, the Shifu is there, and okay, so the dialogue goes something like the Shifu tells the panda, the more you when you focus on, when you concentrate on Kung Fu, you stink. Okay, but then probably that is my mistake. Okay, maybe that is the wrong way to train you. So that is something similar to what we are doing in Flow, right? Wherein we don't do it, we don't decide how it has to be for the customers. The customers have to decide what they want.
True.
They can customize it to their heart. So something like that.
Okay. This one is for all of you again. If ZohoFlow were a superhero, what would its power be?
Bring other superheroes together.
seamlessly integration, something like that. Seamlessly, it can be integrated to any app. Like seamless integration is the power of the Zoho Flow.
Any superhero that comes to mind?
Um,
Like a symbiote or something?
I can think of X-Men, like in
Mutants?
yeah. So there they can grab someone if they want with that magneto kind of power. They can pull and they can do all these things. So similarly,
Well, we have Magneto.
yeah. So similarly, ZohoFlow can pull the data and push the data to some place, like without even touching that.
Without even touching it. That is good one. Smirithil, anything? Any input from you?
maybe Spider-Man, because jumps from the one service to the other service.
Oh, wow.
The web of data.
That's a different answer. The next question is for Hari. What is the most requested feature you have heard so far?
We get mostly on files and line items. That is that we will be doing it this week. This year we will be.
That's in the roadmap anyway.
Definitely.
The craziest use case you have ever seen?
Okay. I actually came across a workflow wherein the customer had created a webhook trigger, and they had around, I think, 20 to 30 custom functions. Nothing else. They didn't have any app actions or anything. They just had custom functions. And when we were analyzing it for their requirement, what we came across, I mean, it was very crazy that they used Flow for something that we hadn't intended for.
Okay.
So yeah, we get to see something like that sometimes like that.
Yeah. They thought too differently maybe because...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This question is for Hari. If ZohoFlow had a time machine, what exactly would it do?
Okay, go into the future or go back.
Anything like future or...
I think assume you have the history, you can fix the bug in the flow, and then you can rerun the failed flows again. So it's like going back and then fixing it.
Wouldn't it like to know like how it would be like in the...
Making some predictions maybe, AI, and bring in some AI and then make some predictions.
Okay. The next one is to Pavan. One word to describe ZohoFlow's backend.
Complex yet powerful.
Nice. What excites you the most in all of ZohoFlow's engineering?
The kind of challenges that we usually get on a daily basis, either from our customers or from partners asking for new features. So which will be like we have to completely reevaluate our architecture to to serve them. Like, so it is actually kind of helpful for us to revisit our design and analyze the latest technologies which will be helpful to cater those needs. So it's actually kind of a positive thing for us. So that will be very much interesting to get to know about the new requirements from the customers or partners.
Okay. This next question is to both of you, Pavan and Smirithil. Unlimited integrations or unlimited automation executions?
We are
Unlimited executions is because unlimited integration is almost possible. I mean, already possible thing to do. Scaling to unlimited execution is something will customer love to do, I believe.
so with the existing number of apps, that unlimited combinations is already achievable. So unlimited executions is what we are actually focusing on to serve our customers better.
Amazing. This one is to Pavan. One coding mistake that still haunts you?
This is during the early stages of our service. So where we were using some message queuing system. At the time, we were completely reliable on that service. Like we didn't know that we should have some backups. So we were completely focusing on the features and releasing dates and all these things. So during that time, some hiccup has happened, and during that short span of time, we were not able to process the data which we received. So that is a good learning for us. So that helps us in having backups in every critical points. So nowadays, if anything happens without our notice also, the data will be safe with ZohoFlow. So we can always restore the data, or at least we can retrieve the data when we want. So it actually a good learning point for us.
This one is for all three of you. Which one is your favorite tech stack to work with?
Sorry?
Your favorite tech stack?
Tech stack, okay. It depends on, for me, it depends on the problem. Some tech stacks are great for systems programming. Some stacks are great for web applications. So when it comes to web application, I would say Node.js is better because of its single thread model and event loop architecture. And some other Python and all, it is great for data oriented data science and machine and all. It depends.
And mine is Go and Node.js. So I learned these two languages, but I didn't get any chance to play around with that. But I created some sample applications, and after that new versions has came in and a lot of improvements came on top of that. So, but these two are my favorite.
I personally have tried Go actually. It's quite simplistic.
It's quite simplistic.
Very good for distributed systems and networking. All that you can apply. Very simplistic, functional.
So main thing is there won't be any GC. So and binaries will be created based on the operating system where we can deploy. And Node.js, it's very much easier. It's like a regular JS, but CS6 standards will be there. But it's very much easier.
Smirithil?
Node.js. Node.js, the one which we have. Since I started my career from the Java, always the love for Java is there. But once we conclude, recently facing more challenges on the Node.js, so I'm fine.
Node.js. Okay. The next question is to Pavan and Smirithil. Front end or back end?
Actually, I'm a full stack developer, interested in both the things. But if I go towards front end, then I will be not that much productive as I work on back end. Why? Because Hari knows that I will take care of every small minute things in front end. I will try to solve that. So I won't be that much productive, but outcome will be definitely same. So there won't be any.
See, in general, working with front end, right, it is not easy because back end, you got a set of contracts and you have to build the implementation. But front end, when it comes to that, it is an interaction, it is an experience that you're giving to the user. So how much ever you try to fine tune it, you will still be having something to actually do it. Of course, that's my perspective. You can choose to have it or remove it. The question is,
well, that's why I prefer to have the easiest way. I love to have on the back end part. So I love the back end part.
Okay. The next question is to Smirithil. What is the most bizarre bug you have encountered?
Couple of services where connection get lost abruptly and we were clueless on why this has happened. I mean, this happens. It's not a generic thing which happens for each and every customer used that particular service using. It's happened for set of customers alone, and we tried to reach out to that particular service, and it always comes with a proto templated replies. So we were on the roadblocks on how to fix that and all those. That's the one bizarre thing which faces.
The next one is to all three of you. What, according to you, is the most underappreciated feature in Zoho Flow?
I would say anything. See, people mostly notice the builder, the integrations, but everything else other than apart from that is they are underappreciated. One is the on-prep connectivity, the history, and the restart resume, the error branch. Those are all things people need it, but they don't notice it much because their focus is mostly on the integrations.
Okay.
Yeah, as Hari said, error branch and auto retry, especially auto retry. So I will say why, because so when it comes to automations, they will just switch on the flow and they will leave it. Okay, they won't be continuously monitoring it. So at some odd times, so some error might happen at a third party service. Some rate limits can be reached or anything can happen. So which they can't be monitoring that. Even though we are having some alerts to notify the customers, so they won't be able to continuously looking at all these things. So we have this auto retry mechanism. So where there is a exponential backoff for retrying this executions. So these things will be very much helpful for the customers. And along with that, I can mention the versions which is available within the workflows. So even by mistakenly, if they have changed something or if they delete something, they will be able to restore the previous configuration from the history of versions. So these two will be actually really useful for the customers.
What about?
In my opinion, I'd say delay. Delay, I'll say like the power of delay, I doubt whether customers are making use of it. They could make it as a refactor it as a reminder notification sort of things. They could make use of it. Instead, customer come back to us and asking for a reminder trigger, inbuilt trigger. Already that capability is there inside the product. So I'd say delay is one such underappreciated functionality which customer.
Actually, if you ask me, I think people are using delay properly because delay is not part of deluge. So you have to come to flow to do all these kind of workarounds and things like that. The next question would be one piece of advice for aspiring app developers. This is just Smirithil.
Be a Google yourself. Just search for whatever happening around you. Learn the domains, new trends, new domains, or what's happening in the tech world. Grab the detail because whatever customer asks tomorrow will be in today's headlines. So you should be ready with the integrations by the time the customer knock your door, right?
For all of you, what's the best part of working with Zoho Flow team?
From it is about enabling users to automate their. I mean, when we come across customer stories, right? That is when we know how much impact we have been able to bring in. So that is the satisfaction that we have.
So when I look at the numbers, like how many number of executions that is happening in a single org, even at the peak times, so without any single hiccup within that production servers, so that gives me the ultimate satisfaction.
For many customers, we are the last door which they knocked. Okay, they tried out various options and came back to us. I mean, what they were looking at, and then they find the happiness what they are looking for in our product. That gives immense pleasure on what we are on our table. We are able to deliver, right? So
that is the satisfaction. So the next one is, which is your favorite Zoho application other than Zoho Flow?
I think I'll go with Creator. Because I was in the Creator. I mean, long back, around that time when Creator was actually envisioned, there was no other tool like that. So we actually pioneered that tool in Zoho. That is the first and foremost. The other thing I would say probably go with Lens, some interesting concept that they are doing. It's not something that you usually come across. Something different is too.
And when it comes to me, like Zoho Click, I would say, because when I joined the company, I have seen a lot of things like Nortel phones or Avaya phones. So we used to communicate to each others either by directly going to their place or calling them to their Nortel extensions. With Zoho Click nowadays, we can simply call from here, from the place, and that makes much easier for communication between the developers, and that actually improves the productivity of the development, or it helps us to clarify the doubts easier. So instead of waiting for directly meeting them or calling them, so it's available with each and every developer now. Zoho Click. So I will say Zoho Click is one of the best app I can make use of in mobile also.
For me, Zoho Mail maybe. I've seen the evolution of the Zoho Mail from the very concept of virtual office concept which we had in the very initial stage. From there, what's Zoho Mail today? That growth, and especially embedding the Click part as Pavan had said. Click is also a powerful tool. Now it's embedded in as part of the Mail, right? It's like very immense product they have.
So in earlier days, as Mithil mentioned, we used to call it as VOSS. So we only have the mail server set up, and you might remember or not, we have a Thunderbird client. So we'll be using that client with the host and IP addresses from a VOSS team, like a virtual office team. We'll configure that and we'll fetch the mails and we'll send the mails instead of making use of third-party email servers. So we'll be using our own. That's how it all started. And after that, they slowly come up with the Zoho Mail and all these things.
For me, it would be again Mail and Click. My next question will be to all three of you. If Zoho Flow started talking, what is the first thing that it'll tell each one of you?
Die your apps.
As I already said, I can take it all the day, something like that, because it is ready to handle all the load.
Secure.
Secured.
Yes, your data is secured.
Okay, this round is closed, and we'll move to the next round, which is the insider round. This round was planned to give the outer world the insights about how we do our engineering and research when we build our product. So the first question is to all three of you. Which was the first feature you started working on in Zoho Flow team?
I think the first one that I started was the builder itself, because the conception was itself about the builder, how it has to be, it has to be easier for users to do. So I focused on that.
So when I came into this team, first everything was on server side, like JSPs and everything. Then we plan of having it flexible for the sake of our future support of number of apps that we are going to support. So we need that to be flexible. So we want something like MEC, something like that. So then we entirely revamped the front end and the communication data that which we are going to have that for from server to client. So those things also we wanted to revamp that, and we first of all worked on that, and first of all had a sample data, and based on the sample data, Hari has taken care from the server side and I have taken from client side, and we both worked parallelly and we are able to achieve the target release date. So that's my first feature, and client was very much scalable, and even today the same configuration page is getting used. So with small exceptions or errors being handled, the same page is there till today.
Smirithil?
As an app integrator, I believe I started as an integration. So I started from Zoho Desk integration in Flow portfolio. Then from the third-party apps, I believe Trello we integrated as the first lot Trello.
We actually came up with 100 first applications
Yeah.
when we launched.
It was announced by at the Zoho one by Sridhar. So we were set to have like 100 apps during the launch time itself. So we had the target and we were able to achieve
It
that.
was kind of a target and deadline.
Yeah.
The platform itself is not the point here, right? It's about the apps as well. So we started with the 100 apps when we launched.
Hari, behind any successful application, there is a strong R&D. So how do we do R&D as Zoho Flow?
See, when you say R&D, there are two perspectives. One is the technology itself. The other is the features, what kind of, from the user's perspective, how we should PM perspective. So once we know that this is what we want to do for our users, we start the prototyping and all of that. And then on back end, when we need any technological R&D and all, they do some of the R&D. How do I say? Test those technologies first, do some POCs, and then evaluate and then decide. So
that's how as well the new technologies are adopted into Zoho Flow. And what are the challenges you face, Hari, in day-to-day basis, and how do you overcome them?
See, we have got different teams, right? In any product, you'll have different teams. We have got the engineering, we have got the support, we have got the marketing, we have got the sales, and different teams are there. So that streamlining of all that workflow across the teams, the kind of the pipeline that we have to build, right? That is the challenge. Challenge in the sense how we can streamline it better, the process that we have, all of that focus on that.
Okay. What are the engineering challenges, Pavan?
So all the people who has joined our engineering team, so doesn't need to be experienced and hands-on with the technologies that we are currently using. So they might not be comfortable at some point, and we have to train them along with we meeting the deadlines which we have for our releases. And also parallelly we have to scale our service, taking care of all these things. So these are our daily things which we will be taking care within the engineering team. And it's actually interesting, quite interesting to be frank.
So how was day one and how is it right now?
Day one, I was a bit busy with the deadlines which we got, and now I will be able to set deadlines for the features that we are intended to have. So we are actually targeting more features to be brought into the product now without any pressure on us. We are pushing ourselves to achieve those things within the deadlines. So that is where we are today now.
My next question will be to Smirithil. Like we have like near 1,000 applications, right? So what is the inspiration behind? Okay, we need this, we need that to be included in the Zoho Flow list. So how do you decide all that?
Basically customers. We are open ears always. So customer asks for their requirement and comes with their requirements. We work on that. Then as already I told, right, so the market demands that kind of boom in certain kind of markets. So when it comes to Corona time, that was a boom for e-commerce market. So at that time we were totally concentrating on e-commerce services. Then at a certain stage we felt like open source market is a big market which can be explored. So we focused on WordPress related environments. Now we have got 100 plus WordPress plugins supported as on date. So that's like it depends upon the market which we have.
So time to time,
I keep on waiting.
Correct, definitely.
Yes. Now it's the hottest is AI and ML, right? So further focus is on AI and ML. So.
Okay, I get you now. The next question is to Hari. How do you ensure like Zoho Flow always has a neat and simplistic UI? It already has, but I want to know like how it is achieved.
See, at a certain point, you cannot achieve more of no code or simplicity from any tool. You'll obviously need to have coding, some sort of a low code requirement and all. But now I think it is quite possible to even break that barrier using AI, because AI has the capability to generate code as well. So I think with more of AI integration into Flow, right, that developer workflow, more of it'll ease out many of the processes that developers have to do.
And the next question is for Smirithil. How do you test these new connectors which you create for integration?
Okay, so we starts with the functionalities of the services, API availabilities, their legal terms and conditions, then their partnership efforts which we need to put in to get it in a part of as a technical partnership, how to get it technical partnership, those kind of things. Besides further, how we could proceed on the particular integration.
How challenging is that? Like sometimes.
The thing is, it comes from the technical end to the legal end, right? So it's like coverage from the data security, the technical capability of the APIs to the legal terms. So it's like a very wide spectrum for me to analyze all those things.
And what is the most complex integration you have done inside ZohoFlow?
To mention internal product, I'll say which is Zoho Sprints.
Zoho Sprints?
Yes, API is one of the toughest thing which we had done. When it comes to third-party product, I would say Google Sheets integrations.
Okay. How do you work on optimizing all these connections?
We looks for the analyze the logs and the response times and all that. We ourselves has got few internal flows where we will be notified on breaching certain limits, and Pavan's team has provided us some notification systems where we will be notified on something is breached, and those kind of alerting systems, internal alerting systems are there, which gives an early signal for us to get notified on something is happening on that particular service. You has to look at that.
So basically, if an API call takes up more time for so many times, then they get notified and then they take action on them.
We have some internal tools to monitor the response times of the services or apps which we are actually processing within our service. So time to time, whenever there is some alert happening within our service, so we'll go looking for that and we'll find out the top apps which is actually delaying the execution process, and from that we'll take it and we'll see whether it is a genuine load or whether it is a delay from the service itself, and that's how our apps team will debug that issue and they will come to a conclusion. And if they need any improvement from our end, he will let us know. So based on that, we will be. It's kind of a cyclic improvement, like from both from app side and platform side.
I actually had a question on this, like the health metrics of Zoho Flow. So how do you gauge it? Like what are the parameters you look into? As you mentioned, there are certain parameters you would immediately look and try to address it. So what are these parameters and how do you take an action?
The major metrics that we will be monitoring will be like number of executions per minute. At the same time, how much time that it will take for each execution. Both of the things matter. So why? Because the number of executions from a single particular organization or service, service org, will actually delay the other services, other orgs performance, like delaying those executions. So which we really want to avoid. And at the same time, if there is any delay in a particular service, like some X, Y, and Z, if these three services are delaying, because of the delay in processing of these three services, the rest of the services executions will be kept on queue.
Okay.
So we really want to avoid this, and now we have some mechanism to separate these things by continuously internally monitoring techniques. So we are separating it out so that the pipeline will be freed up for the other services where there is no issue in processing. So we are identifying it and separating it out so that the processing is improved. So when we release, our execution time will be like like 10,000 executions per minute, something like that. Now we're actually proud that we are able to process 50,000 records per minute on an average on any regular time or peak times. So we are further looking at the options to improve this further.
Okay. My next question is to Smirithil. What is the most frustrating thing about working with third-party APIs?
There are a few services that provides response code 200, which is never expected, and to come into conclusion, like without proper errors, right? So ultimately, the third-party services error message is what we show back to customers. So we want to make it more communicative so that customers can easily diagnose what's happened on their services and they can rectify it. So as long as these services are not providing us with proper error codes or messages, we, as a middleware, we are incapable to convey the same to the
and they have to put a lot of band-aid solutions to handle all of that.
Yeah. Yes.
How do you address this situation? Like, let's say they are updating their, REST endpoints. So how do you make changes on ZohoFlow side?
In most of the cases, services, they notify us prior to updating their endpoints. In some cases, we have history of we ourselves has got surprised on having a new set of APIs. But still, in most of the cases, we are notified on most of the API updates on the cases.
Have we run into any kind of deprecation situation?
Yeah.
Sometimes customers will be expecting to notify everything prior to like 6 months or 3 months based on some contracts which we have with the customers with Zoho. But it's not always possible because we don't have that kind of agreement with all the services which is hosted in our service. We have some thousand plus apps which is published in our gallery. So not all the services doesn't need to notify us 6 months prior to us. And
that's what I was thinking actually.
So that's not actually feasible. And
Challenge actually.
That's a very big challenge. So a common contract cannot be run into case of these thousands. Well, because indirectly we have to match these 1,000 services contract to our single contract, right? So that's a challenge on our end.
So we are trying to balance that between our customers and we being a customer
to any other service. My next question will be like how Zoho Flow is internally used in Zoho. Like if you ask me, like for authorizations, we use the flow architecture over there. Once my customer asked me a question during the training, I was actually trying to authorize the Deluge runtime to speak with another Zoho product. So it took me to the authorization page, which is accounts.zoho.com, and it showed Zoho Flow would like to have these access. The customer immediately asked me, you're authorizing Deluge right here. What is Zoho Flow doing in the page? It was a good question. I said, see, we are using this architecture because it's already there. We are using it. So that's how we have engineered it. So
we see ourselves as a power apps for Zoho Flow. I mean, for Zoho. So within Zoho, so we are trying to provide the connections as much as possible to all the services who needs the connections from us, as long as they are having a good contract with Zoho Flow. Like legally, if it is possible, we are providing the connections to that service. So that's how we are providing the services to others.
See, ultimately, the way we have to see is that Flow is not just a product. That is what we already discussed earlier. Flow is also a platform wherein it powers other Zoho products as well. Their own integrations wherever possible, we are doing it. Obviously, there are certain limitations in the OAuth registrations that you can have a single, you should have a single registration with a single name and all of that. Those are all things we cannot circumvent. This will be there, but I think with time, I think people will understand that it's a common platform.
My next question is, with Flow helping users in connecting multiple apps, how is stability ensured within Zoho Flow?
So as I mentioned, stability is guaranteed with Zoho Flow. So once the data point is received to Zoho Flow, that will be safe with us, either with respect to security or integrity. So we are maintaining that within the Zoho Flow. So everything is encrypted and stored. Not only that, so even if the flow fails to execute that, so he will be able to execute that and resume the transaction again whenever he wants.
So basically, that guaranteed execution is what he's emphasizing, wherein you get the data and anything happens, anything untoward happens, also you will be able to take it up and then execute it eventually. So that guaranteed execution, that is what we ensure with all the different redundancies that we have in place. If one subsystem fails, also we'll be able to take up with some other subsystem is what.
With the past experience we have in the beginning of our survey, so we are able to have like a proper backups wherever it's required, wherever we think that it is required to have it. So we are having that kind of thing. That's why I said like it's reliable. So it's safe with us.
What are the developer resources you use in your day-to-day lives? This is for Pavan and Smirithil, actually.
On developer resources like,
for example, Stack Overflow.
Yes, earlier we used to. So now for our requirements, we are trying to read that directly, the actual documents provided by the open sources, because there only we are finding more information rather than the direct solutions. So going through the documentation is actually always best thing. But if you are in a hurry, if you need an urgent solution, you can always have the look at the Stack Overflow.
I would like to highlight that again. Like, reading documentation is so important.
Yes.
Many of our customers don't do that properly. I've been advising them to carefully read the documentation with patience. Something wouldn't like automate itself. For that time, we still have time for that. But reading the documentation properly, would solve half of your problem actually.
That's where AI comes into play.
No, actually, my experience is that any framework or library that you're using, right? Most of the things are well documented. You will be able to use that. But there will eventually, when you are working so much with that library and framework, you will eventually come to a point wherein you will have to actually go through that code, how they have implemented to actually do something worthwhile. I have run into some situations like that in the past, wherein I would have to actually decompile sometimes. Sometimes actually go through the GitHub code, look for specific implementation details so that we can actually interface with it properly, call it properly.
Adding to that, when we refer any open source code source, okay, we'll that help documentation which they have, like comments added to the methods or classes, will be the actually useful things for any developer. So that's why we are enforcing all our developers to mandatorily add the comments to all the methods and classes recently, whichever is added, right? So we are enforcing them to add all the comments. So soon we will be asking all the developers to add the comments for the classes which is missing in our code base also. So
maybe AI can help there actually. Yeah, definitely. There's another concept that is that I was thinking about. What do you think about a generative flow?
Definitely, that we are already working on it, right? I mean, you give a sentence, you give a prompt, it will suggest you the flow that based on the prompt that you are giving, and that is only the first step. When you create a flow, you give the prompt and you get the flow. That is only the first step. But then once you are building in the builder, and the next steps would be actually incrementally adding steps to it, further iteratively adding steps to it, and we're generating all the other aspects like deluge code or the formula or whatever it is. You can do that mapping. So it's possible. It's a very natural point anyway.
I think it's very. Can we see that in near future?
Yeah, I mean, we are working on it. So slowly, one by one, we'll be doing it.
So How do you envision ZohoFlow evolving in next 5 years? All of you.
It's more like a no code. There won't be no low code with AI, so we can definitely achieve no code as much as possible.
And I'm actually seeing not just for Flow, in general for other applications also. I think the UI part will be relegated a bit to the background. More of a conversational experience would take over. But we'll have to wait and see how fast we are able to do all of that.
I think that's the closure of the insider round. This round is about the role reversal round. So we'll be swapping the roles between the developers and the PM. So the first one is to Hari. If you were a developer, which feature would you like to engineer in ZohoFlow?
I would go with the
AI. The next question is to the developers. So if you were the PM, which feature would you like to do a research on?
R&D, like data sync and data cleansing kind of features is much more in demand in future. So I like to do the R&D on that.
The next question is to Hari. As a developer, how would you approach a situation where PM requests a feature that you believe is technically unfeasible within a given timeline?
Okay, within a given timeline, if it is unfeasible, obviously discuss that first and find out some middle way. If it is possible to bring up a decent implementation of that within that timeline and then try to do it. Obviously, we cannot cover all the obvious. You have to set certain parameters basically. This is the kind of challenges we are having. Probably we'll address these challenges are non-negotiable. These are the things that we cannot negotiate. These things probably we will compromise now, and then we will later on catch up.
The next question would be to developers. How would you ensure that the product requirements you provide are clear and actionable for the development team?
So whenever I give a requirement to a development team, so giving the basic requirements about the feature is already planned and they can also do the R&D. That is fine. But what are the limitations that I was expecting? I have to set it clear. Like say for example limits. All these things has to be planned earlier, along with the pricing and all these things. Only if all these things are properly discussed with them, so then only we'll be able to get the proper output from the developers. Otherwise, we have to do the rework.
Okay. Anything you have to add?
When starting integration, I would say every developer to start it simple. Take the core feature, support it first, then roll it out, get the feedback, then evolve around that integration to support them all use cases so that we can maximize the coverage. So starting is simple, then evolve.
Step by step we can.
Yeah. So these limits I specifically mentioned why, because especially in this ZohoFlow integration platform, this limits plays a major role. Otherwise, everything like all the credits within the ZohoFlow will be completely consumed. Like you have to set the limits. Either it will exhaust your limit or it will take down the service. So that is how much complex it is. So that's why these limits are playing a vital role when we develop any feature within the ZohoFlow. So these are very much crucial.
The next question is to Hari. If you were responsible for writing code, how do you balance the need of high quality code and the pressure to deliver features quickly?
Again, see, we have to decide which ones are non-negotiable. When it comes to actual coding, the way I would focus is to keep the interfaces as much as possible decided during that implementation. Maybe the implementation code that you're writing actually, it has some inefficiencies first, but those can be actually changed. But if you need to keep changing the interfaces, that would be difficult. So I would try to keep that constant, and then implementations to a decent level at least. Obviously, you have to do it so that it's not absolutely inefficient, right? So I would focus on that balance.
The last question is to the developers. As a PM, how will you work on customer feedback?
Obviously, we have to take the feedback from the customers in a positive way, but at the same time, we have to see whether that is really feasible or not, or if there is any workarounds already available for the customer to meet their immediate requirements. So if it is already available, we'll try to suggest that to customer. So by the time we take up and implement it, he can go for that implementation. And by the time once we make those features readily available for the customers, then we'll keep a list of those customers who are actually waiting for that, and we'll include them in the beta list for them to try. So overall, we'll take it on a positive note, and we'll see how feasible it is to implement.
So definitely think about the feasibility and then
Yes.
proceed. Okay. So that brings us to the closure of road reversal round. This round is about the reactions round. So I'll be providing you situations and you'll have to react accordingly. So we have some props available right here and you can pick the suitable reactions. The first one, the first situation is for all three of you. Imagine it's 2028 and the workflows are fully automated by AI. What would be your reaction?
Something it will be cool. We have some other important work to do.
Okay, sure.
Okay. The next question is to Hari. Situation is to Hari. What would be your reaction if customer misunderstood ZohoFlow to be a basic task automation tool?
Yeah, definitely this comes up.
All right. A business reports that after implementing ZohoFlow, the manual data entry task decreased by 70%, allowing the team to focus on more strategic activities. This is to Hari.
I think cool or this one, but I would go with this one.
Yeah, because that's the objective.
Objective, the product itself.
The next one is for Hari again. During a sprint planning, an engineer estimates a task will take 2 weeks, while the PM, you being the PM, believe that it can be done in lesser time.
Okay, we have. Okay, I'll probably think why it would take
that much of time.
that much time.
Okay. The next question is to Hari again. After launching a feature, user feedback is pouring, and it is revealing that the customers are completely using the tool in unintended way.
Okay, unintended probably can we take it as negative?
Yeah, that is. Because we expect them to read the documentation.
You will elaborate this
Shocked.
short, yeah.
Okay. The next one is to Hari. What is the first thought that you'll get when the competitor introduced a feature similar to you and you have that in development?
Yeah, I would obviously be happy about it. I mean, we are able to. I mean, we are thinking in the right
Because
direction.
we'll have an advantage over the competitor. So because we know their strengths and we can deliver a better one.
Better ones.
Yeah, my perspective would be that we are in the right direction. That's what I would. It validates our direction.
It's like how Mahindra launches after Tata, the SUVs.
Kind of.
The next one is to Smirithil. An urgent feature request comes in late Friday afternoon with the expectation that it should be completed by Monday. That's a difficult thing, actually.
Yeah, it's always really a frustrating thing to have. We can.
Maybe.
He's obviously injured.
Injured. He'll rectify anyway, but
That's what. Obviously, we will be delivering it on the Monday, but internally we are.
the next question is to you, Smirithil. A connector in ZohoFlow is found faulty just before its release. How do you react to it?
Obviously,
Right.
no other way, right? No other way to react. Oops.
What's your immediate thought when a system performs flawlessly in testing but fails under real-world conditions? Pavan and Smirithil.
Mm. I'll be thinking what went wrong in the live production.
Our process.
Yeah,
That's
and as a precaution measure, we'll immediately roll back to the old stable version,
stable version.
and I will definitely think what will happen, what would have happened, and
behind the scene.
yeah.
Okay, this one is for Smirithil. A bug that you fixed mysteriously reappeared again.
Thinking is a good one.
I believe I am shocked. Okay, sure. I'll be shocked, right? Since it's already fixed from my somehow it is coming up and it really shocks, right?
The next one is to all of you. The Wi-Fi is down during the most productive hours of your work.
Unanimously, I think we will go.
We get some time to do something.
That is that's how you can cheat and get yourself some breathing space.
That's where background automation comes into play.
No, actually, there is one emphasis, right, in our culture, right, to have go take a tea, chit chat, and that is where we get a lot of ideas. That is something we have.
The next situation is your reaction to someone who is saying security can wait and they need to deploy things faster. It's to all of you.
It's again completely based on the context.
Yeah, I think thinking is good because it depends on context, like I said. How we can do it, basically.
If it is something critical which will take our entire service down, definitely we have to consider data first. Okay, so integrity should be maintained. So anyway, security is always already there, but we are not going to breach anything, at least for the time being. So, but again, I am not completely towards this one. It's completely based on the context. We have to think about it, and security is being part of our coding itself. Like whenever we design something, we will design thinking about the security. So
That is why people in science, engineering, and technology get gray hairs quickly because of this emoji right here.
yeah, now I am getting.
So the next one is this is the last one actually. So you wake up to see that AI has replaced you.
You want the emoji for the last questions or the actual question content?
No,
Content of the question.
the content of the question.
I will probably go with this one.
In both ways, it's cool.
It's okay. So
If it happens, it's anyway going to
see, AI is not going to completely replace you. Like they may replace the work that you are doing, but again, there will be some other work which you need to do.
actually.
So
No, actually, see, we have some unique qualities, okay, that cannot be replaced by any time. Even though it is good at these days, it is good at creative pursuits as well. It ultimately doesn't have a conscience, which means it cannot experience anything.
True.
Right. That is where we are irreplaceable. We can pursue something and we can actually experience it. So we'll do something that
simply
makes us happy.
think about the 3D printers. Okay, so it has that much precision when it is doing things, but at the end of the day, you are the one who has to decide what has to be done. Okay, so you give the work and it will do it with ultimate precision. So ultimately, we are the one who is actually getting the work from the robots or AI, whatever it is. You have to properly think or guide the technology to get what you want.
As in human being, always self-evolve. Every moments we evolve ourselves, right? So now models can evolve their own. Someone has to feed or someone has to have that data source, right? So that's the main difference.
Even the AI is trained on the data which is happened in the past, not on the future, right? It is just predicting it, but it doesn't need to be the same way. It can change.
Yeah, obviously we have the consciousness wherein we can experience things. Then they don't have that conscious sentience.
The need to, take an apple, show it to a human being. Like if you show me an apple, I'd probably think many things, many neurons will fire at the same time, and it'll tell me, it'll bring up many memories. Actually, the first time I saw an apple, the first time I was taught that apples are red, maybe the first time I would have seen the green apple, and I would have been surprised by it. So this is how the consciousness works, like as we see, as we interact with our surroundings, and that is needed because that's how we survive. It's embedded into our core, actually. So show the same apple to an AI, it'll only go ahead and tell you that, okay, it'll just identify it as an odd.
All the objective things, it doesn't have that subjectivity.
True.
That comes with our own natural.
Correct.
So with that, we conclude our podcast. Thank you so much for
Thank you for
making
having
this
us here.
enlightening session. And to say this is just the beginning, we have just laid the foundation for what this podcast is, and we will be revisiting the product again or the platform again with different themes. Thank you so much.
A good initiative. Please keep
Thank you.
doing it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us here. Thank you.
Thank you. We wish you all the best in
Thank you so much.
podcast as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this podcast. We hope that you found it really insightful. You can track the series in various mediums, and the links are in the description below. See you in the next episode. Until then, stay curious and keep breaking boundaries.